What is going on, guys? Before we jump into this week's video, I want to show you something super cool. This white piece of plastic. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Chris, why are you showing us this white piece of plastic with dents in it? Well, if you take a cell phone, throw that light on behind it, boom, it's a 3D picture. That's a 3D photo of Lizzie and I at Bufferfest 2017. We're now forever ingrained in plastic. A friend of mine made this for me. It's a 3D printing. It's called a lithophane. So if any of you guys want to build a really cool business doing 3D prints of people, and you can be like, here's some dented plastic to hold your memories, you can build a business off that. Find a better way to sell it, which actually is a pretty decent segue into our next conversation, which is we're talking about websites, different photographers and how they are selling themselves online. Now, before we start judging these websites and rating them and kind of talking about the different things about them, the good and the bad, I want to give you guys some context. So if this is your first time to this channel, my name is Chris Howe. I'm a photographer, cinematographer, and I also own my own agency. We work with a ton of brands like Mercedes-Benz, Corona, all these other like international brands, and we are hiring people all the time. So I am looking at websites like this and I'm viewing them from like a hiring position. Would I hire this person and what would I hire them for? So you guys sent me a ton of submissions. We got over 200 website submissions. So we've like whittled it down to about 8 that we're gonna talk about today for different reasons. Now, before we jump into those websites, I obviously wanna thank our sponsor for this week, which is Squarespace. Naturally, we're talking about websites. If you guys are creative and you wanna start building out your own website and start making money off of your creative passion, I would highly recommend Squarespace. I personally use it myself, and that's not because Squarespace is sponsoring these videos. I've had a Squarespace site for the last 4 years. That's actually 2 years before they even sponsored a video on this channel. I love the site. It's super easy to use. The templates are amazing. They have amazing customer service. We'll delve into some of that stuff later, but thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. So let's jump into our first website. Our first website is from Marcus Hannenberg Photography. This website, first thing, dude, your photography is amazing. P.S. I want to travel with you. Hit me up in those DMs. These photos are absolutely incredible. But first things first, I instantly pin you as a landscape photographer. And if that's your niche, you've done an amazing job at it. But I would probably only hire you for like travel related jobs. Now let's jump into some of the other things here. The first thing I would suggest is that your website link is marcushannenbergphotography.squarespace.com. I would highly recommend that you just pay for the upgrade. I think just having marcushannenbergphotography.com looks a lot better than just having like the basic website. It shows that you take your profession seriously. Obviously, you're spending a lot of money traveling. You have amazing gear. You're really good at photo editing. You're probably paying for some sort of subscription service. For like $100, I would just spend it so that it looks a little bit more professional. In addition to that, when I go down to the bottom, you have a yahoo.com email. Nothing wrong with that. It's obviously a good way to communicate, but I would recommend just having like marcus@marcushannenbergphotography.com or hello@marcushannenbergphotography. Just that little bit of professionalism shows the client or someone who's hoping to hire you that you really take your job seriously. So just 2 minor suggestions to your website that would really take you to that next level. So Marcus, when I clicked under your portrait section, it still seems like a lot of the photos are landscape based. I know that you have a few other examples here, some couples, but even the types of photos are kind of similar. Everyone's kind of hugging or being intimate with still some wider shots. Would love to see some close-ups, maybe something with like an 85 mil to show your diversity in terms of your portraiture work. Again, your work is amazing. Just take this as a grain of salt. This is just some suggestions, but I would probably hire you for a landscape job over a portrait job. Now, clicking on your print section, I love that you have a print section here. You have e-commerce, which is amazing. You're taking advantage of that Squarespace section where you can sell different things. Your price points look really good. Your photos, I straight up would probably buy one of your photos. I really love the Kauai's well. That looks really good, so let's click that. Love that you can pick the different sizes, material. I would love to hear a little bit more other than like that short description. Love to hear about delivery times, some other things like that. That would really help sell me in terms of wanting to buy one of your prints. Other than that, Marcus, great job, totally would hire you. All right, moving on to our second website here. This is Thomas Fitz. First things first, man, dude, your logo looks great. I love like the little script here and then the clean font that you have at the top, looking really dope right out of the gates. Love that you have a little bit about yourself. You have a little portrait picture here. Thomas, so I read through your bio, great first attempt. There's a few suggestions that I would make here. So it says, I'm currently a student at the University of California, Santa Barbara, pursuing a degree in economics. And then it kind of like conflicts with another thing that you have here that says, this has led me to the conclusion of photography is something I want to do for the rest of my life. So you're kind of talking about economics in one point, and then you're talking about photography in another area. So it's not really correlating. There's a bit of like a conflict there. So I would just say, if this is all about your photography, focus on that photography. Photography. Guys, I'm gonna get it one day where I can actually say photography properly in a video. Loving your portraiture, your work looks amazing. Would definitely hire you for either landscape or portraiture, looking really dope. So one of the first things I saw here was I'll respond with space in 24 hours. I personally would recommend that you hire someone to quickly either do some copywriting or at least go through your website to make sure that there's no spelling mistakes. As somebody who's hiring a lot of creatives, especially photographers and cinematographers, these are the small details that I pay attention to. If there's a small error in your spelling, it could mean that there could be a small error in your work. Thomas, quickly jumping into your professional section, one of the things that I noticed is that I don't really have an idea of like the clients that you've worked with. So you have some examples of your work. Just going down here, you had some photos where like there was a girl running right here. And then if you scroll down, you have another photo of the same girl running, kind of at a similar angle. So just pick the best one. This kind of goes on for a little while. So maybe break this down into 3 sections. Maybe have an event section, then maybe have like a lifestyle section, and then maybe have like a commercial section, and then put those examples in there. Try your best to have some variety in the photos that you're presenting. All right, Thomas, and my last piece of advice for you, you had this like one little section on it called the vision, which was really cool. It kind of delved into a bit more detail about who you are and what you're inspired by. I personally, and this is just my personal recommendation, I just don't think it's good to show other people's work on your website. It kind of deters from what you are doing. I also think this would have been great as a blog post where you could have something about like a bit more about me, and then you can have a few other blog post articles versus just having like a whole section that you've obviously put a lot of work into. So take the energy that you put into this and kind of find different ways to beef up your landscape section, your professional section, your portraiture section, because if you're looking to get hired, having those beefed up will really increase your chances of landing that next job. Thomas, great job. Would I hire you? Yes, I would. I'd probably start with an event first. Our next website submission is from Pierre Goer. Pierre, I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name wrong, but your work is absolutely incredible. For example, this 24 Hours of Le Mans series that you posted here looks amazing. These photos are next level, are professional quality, would probably hire you for a client like Mercedes-Benz or Toyota or any other automotive brand. So your work speaks for itself. It's incredible. My one thing that I would kind of leave as a recommendation for you, take it as you will, your website felt a little too basic. Your work is amazing, but I think you could probably package it a little differently. So a different template that you could pick from might actually allow you to raise your rates because there's a design element. As somebody who's like a hiring manager or somebody who's looking to hire people, I really like that you understand all aspects, whether it's photo, video, and design, and how that fits together. If you had a better design for your website, you might even be able to charge a bit more. This is a good segue into talking about templates. I find that templates allow you to package your work in a really effective way. It builds a flow to your website so that somebody who's going through it can really understand the About Me section, your work, film, and then can go right into the contact section. I think having a template is a great starting point, and obviously building from that design will allow you to raise your rates as well as showcase that you are a professional. All right, so our next submission is from Panoramic Media. It's a professional videography, photography, and creative media services. The first thing that I really liked about this website was just like an instant scroll. It looked really good. You had some like moving pieces on it. It showed some pictures of you guys. You have some big logos and some client logos on there, which is one of the key factors in actually showcasing that you've worked with big brands and clients trusting you to work on their projects. I really liked the core pieces that you had on your website. There's a few things I would suggest in terms of the changes. So my first suggestion, let's talk a little bit about your logo right now. Now, Panoramic Media, great name, love that. I also love the font that you have underneath these cameras in your logo. In my personal opinion, I would make that your logo. Having the cameras there, especially the older cameras, feels a little bit dated. And number two, the design of those cameras feels just a touch amateur in my opinion. I think having just Panoramic Media without the icons would really make it look like a clean professional website. So that's just my first suggestion. For people out there who are looking to get a logo done, I would recommend Fiverr.com and or hire your friends who are designers and really pay attention to how your brand is being perceived. The cleaner the logo, the better it often looks. If we scroll down on your website, you have this one little section that says 250 projects completed, 8,000 hours of video shot, 2 million views across platforms. They're very clean numbers. I like where you're going here, but I would just change these numbers up a little bit. Project completed, make it like 254 hours of video shot, 8,196. Having these different numbers showcases that maybe you've actually done the analytics to make these accurate numbers. Just having them right now are being super clean. I don't know if the analytics are correct or if you just inputted those numbers. So changing up the numbers, from my perspective, looks like you've actually put the time into doing the research for that. Under your About Me section, it says, I'm Chris and I'm Panoramic Media. I would just say I'm Panoramic Media. Make yourself look like a bigger company versus just a sole individual. You might actually have the chance to charge a bit more money. So the perception is that you're a big agency versus just a single individual, which is a positioning technique to charge a bit more money. Just a little tip there. My next tip, I love that you guys put the brand logos. Like, great job here. One suggestion in terms of what you've done here, Chris, is I would actually bring some color back into this, and I would put your biggest clients first. So right down here in the middle, you have Mercedes-Benz. You've worked with Mercedes-Benz. Even if it was on a dealership level, that should be number one. Put GM, Mercedes-Benz, put some of the bigger ones, maybe clean up some of the smaller brands that you worked with. So you don't have to show that you've worked with all these different brands. Maybe put like the top 10 best ones. And then that way, when people are looking at this, they're like, oh, Chris has worked with Mercedes-Benz. Well, he can obviously work with me, my company that is not Mercedes-Benz. It's a whole trust building thing here. Bring some color back into it, simplify it, and bring the bigger companies right to the front. Those are my 3 tips in terms of positioning your brand. All right, Chris, great job. Kudos to you, and this website is looking really great. A few small tweaks will really take it to that next stage where you could probably charge more and get more clients more often. Would I hire you? Heck yeah, I would. All right, our next submission is from Daniel de Medeiros, multimedia producer. We got Daniel's photo right here. It's very welcoming. I like that. Let's learn a little bit more. First things first, when you go into the learn more, it jumps right into your about you section. I personally would love to see more of your work before I read more about your bio first. The second point is that you jumped right into your 2019 pricing. So right away, before I even seen your work, you're talking about money. So I would just change the flow of your website in terms of how I'm landing on the website and then where I'm clicking. Instead of learn more about me, maybe just go into my work, and then at the bottom of my work, have it jump into the about me section and your pricing. Daniel, your wedding photos look amazing. Would I hire you for a wedding? Totally would. One thing that I would love to see more of is a few more examples. So you just have the one case study here that's for John and Micah. I would love to see maybe like 3 case studies for your photo if you're a wedding photographer. Daniel, so I explored your website a little bit more, and you have a services section. Under the services, just mention the different services that you have. You have a wedding package 2019 right out of the gates. I think based on your logo, based on your website, you can do a lot more than just weddings. And I wouldn't talk about money. I would honestly recommend that you just put a contact page. You want people to fall in love with your work, and then at that point you can send an email talking about pricing, or after you've jumped on a phone call, you're more likely to land that deal, and you might be able to charge a bit more money. This approach and the way that you're positioning could limit the amount of money that you're charging, because people would be like, oh, he's only $3,000, and then someone else could be like, whoa, he's $3,000, but you'll find the right clients after you have the chance to chat with them either on the phone or through email. I think having this on your website isn't working for you, it's actually working against you. So I would recommend maybe just like cut the services section and or change the services section to I shoot video, I shoot photos, and list all the things that you can do, and then lead to a contact page where then after you've jumped on a phone call or email, you can start chatting about money. All right, our next submission is from CORTLAND TATE. She's a videographer, editor, and photographer. Love the flow of the front page of your website right now. You have broken it down into travel, fashion, social media. I can click on those areas and see your portfolio. Love that. First things first is that the initial image, I think it's of you. Correct me if I'm wrong, you can reply in the comments afterwards. And I think you're trying to showcase that you're a videographer by having this Bolex camera. The first thing I would recommend is find another photographer and do a photo shoot where you're holding your modern camera, some other behind the scenes photos. Having a super high quality asset like that really positions your brand to that higher level versus having something that says Bolex. It's a little unclear of what it is, and the words going over your face is kind of conflicting. So this isn't specifically working as a landing page in my personal opinion. So I would recommend find another photographer and do a whole photo shoot so that your first image is just like, woo! yeah, I want to learn more and explore and work with this person. So make sure that the first image on any of the websites that you guys have is really powerful. My second recommendation, something that I would probably take away, is under the Cortland Tate Productions, you have it twice. Once in the middle that's like really big, and then once in the corner where it's really small. I personally would just take one of those out. Just having it twice is a little bit redundant, so just keep it clean. I would keep the one in the corner, the top left corner there, Cortland Tate Productions. It looks really nice, and then you can just have a nice clean top bar that goes right into videos about photography and contact. Other than that, Cortland, keep it up. It looks great. And would I hire you? Yes, I would hire you. Our next submission is from Michael R. Fenton. I love the first image that I saw here. Very impressive. And it goes right to your 2018 demo reel, which I love. You're just jumping right into your work. Excellent positioning technique. Just some feedback on your demo reel. I think you could probably shorten it. I think it could be like 30 seconds and use the best clips from each one of those sections that you've shot. I think people are usually basing a decision if they want to work with you within the first 5 to 10 seconds. So having a really long demo reel isn't specifically necessary. And you're also repeating a lot of the shots from the same shoots. So from my perspective, it looks like you've done about 4 or 5 paid shoots and you're using all the examples from those ones, which look really great, but you're seeing the same clips just in different areas. I think you could shorten that clip and just show the best clips from each one of those shoots. My next piece of advice is that I would throw the logos of the companies that you worked with. You worked with John Deere? Dude, that's super dope. I would love to see that a little bit higher up on your website versus so many examples of your work. So right away, I would say demo reel, and then the next one right below that should be the different companies that you worked with, and then jump into your portfolio, because essentially I'm like seeing your work and then I'm like, oh, he's worked with John Deere. That's a dope company. All right, let's see some more examples of his work, and I would probably hire you. So, Michael, would I hire you? Yes, I would hire you. The next submission is from Ramilla Green Photography. I love your splash page. I think you could have a few more examples of your work kind of circulating through that splash page, but those initial 2 photos, very powerful. So it jumps right into your About Me section, which is not a bad positioning technique, but I would love to see a photo of you. We have a little slideshow of different photos of you, but we don't see your face. I'd love to get a portrait photo of you to have a sense of who am I gonna be working with, rather than some photos of you standing at a lake, which are beautiful, but I'd love to see a portrait photo of you here. So just jumping into your About Me section, I think there's a few areas where you could really amp it up to really sell yourself a bit more. So right here I have shot a couple of events, one being the Banff Yoga Festival. Just sell it. Just say, I have shot events. I think having some confidence like that in your copy will really help land that next job versus it being like, I've shot some festivals, some of them, one of them being this one. Just say, I shot the Banff Yoga Festival. Even having that is enough confidence for me to want to hire you for an event. And 2 other suggestions that I have in terms of your website. You have a section called camera gear. Now, if we click on that, you talk about, okay, I have a 6D Mark II, a GoPro Hero 5, a Google Pixel. I don't even think you need to mention any of this camera gear. I think any photo gig that you're getting hired to is case to case, and you might even need to rent specific gear for certain shoots. So listing the gear that you have won't really help sell you. If anything, it's working against you because it shows that you only have a limited amount of gear that you're working with. Your work will always speak for yourself. People are not hiring you for your camera gear. They're hiring you for your eye and your expertise as a photographer. And my last suggestion is you have a section called coffee gear, as well as you have a blog section. In my personal opinion, that whole separate section called coffee gear, I would make that a blog post. Also, your photos of your coffee should be a part of a product shoot. So put a product section and then put all those photos of the coffee there. That positioning, when someone is viewing your website, will be like, oh, well, she actually does product shots. I will hire her for my products there, versus you just being a fan of coffee. So it will probably lead to a deal versus just a conversation about coffee. And our last submission is from Anton Eriksson Photography out of Sweden. Your website was very clean. Your work is amazing. I would highly trust you with some sort of adventure sports client and trust you in taking some amazing photos there. It looks like you explore a lot of interesting things like guys riding jet skis over lakes. I love that you're doing that type of stuff. One of the things that really stood out for me is the personality that you had in your copy. It was very humorous. You put under the landscape section, you put landscapes I've seen in my life. Now this is very funny, it made me smile, but I would just package this with a few more professional details. So I would put like landscapes I've seen in my life. Obviously, these photos were taken X, Y, and Z. They were taken here in these conditions for this client. So you're adding a bit of humor, but you're also like finishing off on a professional note versus it just being comical and it's just like very go lucky, happy person. Like, no, you mean business. You want to work with clients. Anton, your work is great. One of the things I was a little confused by is at the bottom of every page it says powered by Spinach. I don't know if this is like some sort of website building tool, but if you click Spinach, it literally goes to a Wikipedia page about spinach and educating people on spinach. I don't know if this is like based on the humor that you're trying to incorporate in your website. If it did, it's very funny. I like that. Now I know a lot more about spinach. I just didn't understand it. That's the only thing. So double check that hyperlink that you have there just to make sure it makes sense with the flow of your website. So Anton, my last suggestions for you. I clicked on your About Anton page. I would love to see a photo of you here. You have a nice little short bio. You have the award section that says, "Not really, but my mom thinks I'm cute." Again, the humor, I love that you have that throughout your website, but I would love to see a photo of you here, as well as your client list. Love that you put Mercedes-Benz at the top, but I think you could organize that in terms of the international brands, in terms of their bigger awareness. You have Hatvika Lodge, but I think you have also Arctic Cat and Monster Energy. I would organize the companies based on their international awareness. And my last tip is right at the bottom, you have some copy that says Anton is a self-taught photographer. So just double check your spelling on all these things, who works daily as a real estate photographer and every other minute with his own photography. I don't think you need to mention that section on your website. I think your website is very strong. A few tweaks here and there. Send your website to these adventure sports brands and agencies that are working with them, and I think you would definitely get hired. If I was working with an adventure sport client, I 100% would hire you. Cool, so thank you to everybody who submitted their websites. I would like to make this an ongoing series, so if you guys have a website, leave it in the comments for future videos, and maybe yours will be reviewed on camera. A big thank you to our sponsor, Squarespace, today for sponsoring today's video. If you guys are creative and looking to build a website, would highly recommend a Squarespace one. It allows you to position your brand where you can charge more money and land more clients, so highly recommend that. Additionally, they also have 24/7 customer service, an all-in-one platform where you can build your own domains and secure your own domains, as well as award-winning designer templates. They also have an e-commerce section that you guys can set up so you can start selling presets and prints if you guys are photographers. I love Squarespace. I use Squarespace. Would highly recommend. If you guys want to get your own website, you can head over to squarespace.com/Chris Howe to receive 10% off your next website or domain. You should do it. Start making some money. I would do it. I already did do it. Did it 4 years ago. It was a good decision. Making some extra money, charging more, all that stuff. You should do it. Anyways, that's the end of our video right now. If you guys like this video, please press like. It actually makes a difference. Subscribe. Would love for you to join along and hit the bell to be notified for future videos. Maybe your website will be featured on the next, I don't know what to call this section anymore, judging websites. We'll find a better name for it. You guys can leave some comments of what those names can be, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.